Good evening, my friends. Come on in. Have a drink, a bite to eat. Settle in now, for tonight I have quite the story for you. Are you ready? Good. Then let us begin. It's finally February, folks, so you know what that means? That's right. Valentine's Day is just around the corner. A time of love, of romance, of buying far too much candy and then binging on it for weeks afterward. This is the one day a year that has been singled out to be a celebration of love between couples everywhere. But not everyone is part of a couple, nor is love solely the domain of romance. That is why, this February, I will be doing a series of 4 videos. One of familial love, one of the love between 2 friends, one of the love between a pet and their owner, and one for those who just want something to help them through the holiday blues. While none of them are very romantic, may they still fill you with warmth and give you a reason to snuggle with your love or for a friend while listening to them. Who knows? Perhaps these can give you couples a way to open up about similar experiences in your lives and bring you closer together. Now, let us begin our first tale. Morning Glory. Years ago, my grandmother, yes, the same abnormally paranormal granny as in the other stories, had a niece with whom she was very close. This young lady reminded her of a brother whom Granny had lost at a young age. They were both very cheerful, generous souls, who seemed to be walking balls of sunshine wherever they went. Both the brother and niece were seemingly born without fear, as the boy had forever been playing practical jokes and getting into other forms of mischief from an early age, while the girl adored the limelight. They were the epitome of social butterflies, merely a generation apart. Granny highly admired their streak of extroversion, a rare trait in a family of staunch introverts. Unfortunately, Granny's niece was similar to her brother in another way. They both had diabetes. Those listening who do have diabetes know that others who have it can often lead mostly normal lives, so long as they keep their blood sugar in check, take their glucose pills, insulin shots, and other medications, and lead an otherwise healthy lifestyle. They will also tell you that, if left untreated and unchecked, there can be grave consequences in the more severe forms. Neither Granny's brother nor her niece took care of themselves during their last few years of life, and sadly, both of them perished relatively young. And this was tragic enough for Granny, as the young woman was more like a daughter to her than a niece. Her sorrow was only compounded by the circumstances surrounding her death. Years before, Granny's niece had married a young man who came from a very difficult background. The two of them were heavily into drugs at the time, but had managed to get clean before the girl's death. Unfortunately, an already unhealthy lifestyle, coupled with complications caused by drug use, did a number on the niece, who wound up having to have pain pills to combat constant agony. The last part of her life turned her into something she was not, causing her to constantly fight with her loved ones. One night, when she was trying to get her by-then ex-husband to give her another chance, they quarreled, with the young man officially cutting ties with her over the phone. Despondent, the girl turned to her mother, only for the two of them to argue too. Depressed and in pain, she returned to her empty home. It was the last time anyone saw her alive. By the time her relatives found her, she was long gone, a half-empty pill bottle nearby where she lay. The autopsy results showed that she had died from an overdose, but the final results behind the motivation were inconclusive. No one could be sure whether she had taken too many pills by accident, or if she had intentionally downed a handful out of misery. There were rumors of foul play, which sparked an investigation into her ex-husband. He clearly wasn't involved, and the evidence soon proved that. But the malice he received from the girl's grieving parents, and the knowledge that his last words to his once-beloved wife were spoken in anger, were enough to send him spiraling back into the realm of an addict. To Granny, the drama surrounding her niece's death only made her grief more potent. She knew the sweet girl didn't have it in her to take her own life, but that didn't stop her more trouble-making neighbors and relatives from gossiping otherwise. "Suicide is a sin," they said. "Killing herself on top of those drugs, she's probably burning in hell now." Yes, those, among others, were the cruel statements that Granny had to hear. But Granny knew that her niece didn't kill herself. Such a sweet girl. Surely there was no way that someone as tender-hearted as her niece would have gone anywhere but heaven. Still, the words of those toxic people followed her, and she began to doubt. Though doubting worsened her grieving, and she prayed for a sign, any sign, so long as it was one that showed her that her loved one was all right in the afterlife. One morning, she went to her kitchen to do her dishes, and noticed something was different. There was something on one of the flower pots that held her cacti. Upon tugging back the thin curtain, her eyes widened as she realized what it was. There, amidst the tiny pebbles and dry soil surrounding one particular cactus, was a small flower. Granny was confused. How had any seeds gotten into that flower pot? Nothing else had been planted in it for at least 2 years. Not just that, she had never seen a flower like this. It reminded her of a morning glory due to its slowly creeping vine, but it was not. Within a few days, the plant had spread, leaving a string of little white candle-like flowers growing over the tops of her cacti. It was then that Granny remembered. One of the things her niece loved most was candles. The look of the flame, the gentle glow they gave on a dark night, the smell of the fragrance-imbued ones. It was then that Granny felt her prayers had been answered. All thanks to a little white flower. That is all for this tale. I do have a funny story for you all. The day I wrote this out, I had purchased the first candle I had in years. Well, after checking my facts and finding out the candle-like shape of the flower, I wanted to light mine after this was finished as a sort of personal memoriam to this girl, as I, too, had known her as a child. What happened was I had to hold the candle at an odd angle because the wick was so short, and I wound up burning one thumb and nearly setting both my thumbnails on fire. So yeah, Mondays, am I right? But you know what would make my poor singed thumbs feel better? each one of you liking this video, subscribing to my channel, and hitting the notification bell to catch your latest spooky fix the moment when it comes out. Now, I won't keep you any longer. Go ahead and move on to the second video in this Valentine's Day special series.